Yesterday in South Africa, it was Wednesday. But yesterday in the United States, it was Liberation Day for Donald Trump, the US president slapping sweeping tariffs on imports from countries around the world. And no, South Africa is not alone. South Africans like to think that we're the only ones targeted. And no, 60 countries have been singled out for higher tariffs. This is Donald Trump yesterday at the White House.
If you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. So it's 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. South Africa, 60%, 30%, and they've got some bad things going on in South Africa.
South Africa, the UK, Singapore, Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, Turkey, Colombia, Argentina, El Salvador. Isn't Donald Trump sending all the people that they're rounding up for immigration, so-called immigration violations? Aren't they sending them to El Salvador? Well, you get a tariff, everyone gets a tariff. Yamkela Fanisi is the spokesperson for the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition. What is the response from the South African government on these sweeping tariffs on a number of countries, and how it affects South Africa, Yamkela?
Good morning, and your listeners at home. Look, we are concerned, and especially we've also heard earlier about the tariffs which was affecting the automobiles and the parts, which were 25% already that were put into us on their Section 232. We are deeply engaged within that. We still have a room for engagement with the USA. As DERCO and DTIC are always engaged on the matters that need to be put. We think that part of the issues are matters that would be relating to trade. But also, this is a space and the opportunity for us to look at enhancing our diversification strategy of also looking at investment and trade opportunity outside and elsewhere. This is looking into other regions that probably have not tapped them and capitalize on them that much to enhance and also zoom into them and give a more strategic and more packaged investment deals that are mutually beneficial for us and also the other countries. But also, more importantly, also this also calls for us to look into Africa Trade Agreement in terms of enhancing it, such that we are being able to also take advantage of the regional trade amongst the African countries.
Donald Trump,
we are put in this stage to really look into different avenues. However, we are still firmly engaged in terms of engaging with USA and using the existing diplomatic frameworks.
Donald Trump claims that the tariffs charged to the United States by South Africa is 60%. And that the US is actually doing South Africa a favor by actually only charging a discounted reciprocal tariff. Does South Africa charge the United States 60% tariff on imports into South Africa from the US?
Look, our understanding of our deals with USA are mutually beneficial. We engage on them on rebates, for example, in terms of what they bring us, chicken or be it other auto parts. We also are engaged on rebates, which they actually give them a certain advantage and preferential treatment when they are engaging with us. We understand our trade relations as that is mutually beneficial for both nations.
It doesn't bode well for AGOA, which gives South Africa duty-free access to the US markets. It's not just with South Africa, but many sub-Saharan African countries. Is this a precursor for what could be simply the repeal? AGOA, the agreement, the US Act in Congress, it does expire 2025. Should South Africa and other African countries be preparing for a future without an AGOA agreement?
Well, as I said, of a diversification strategy in South Africa, but more importantly is that we have not stopped being in engagement with the US. We still believe that we can still engage and make them and persuade and make them understand the importance of this trade engagement, but also that this trade engagement can also affect both the countries negatively. We still believe that we have the case to engage a US. We have not given up. We're not engaged at a level of being defeated, but we believe that we can put in a very mutual beneficial package trade deals which can make us be able to speak and strengthen the trade relationship between the two countries. But also on the other side, which is very important as a strategy of South Africa, is that the diversification strategy is very important at this moment in time, where we need to engage with other regions and also try to enhance the existing trade relationships and make sure that they become more beneficial for our country and the countries we trade with.
Yamkela Fanisi, spokesperson for the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. Look, there are economists who are trying to work out what's happening in Donald Trump's head at the moment. Like, for example, that Donald Trump claims that foreign countries are supposedly charging the US. For example, he says South Africa charges the US 60%, or that China charges the US 67%. South Korea, for example, Donald Trump claims is charging 50% tariffs on US exports. The EU 39%. And but they're saying these numbers aren't matching up. Where is he getting it from? And there's a reporter for the New Yorker, James Surowiecki, who says he's just figured out where these fake tariff rates come from. They didn't actually calculate tariff rates plus non-tariff barriers as they say they did. Instead, for every country, they just took the US's trade deficit with that country and divided it by the country's exports to the US. So the 60% that Donald Trump claims that South Africa charges the US in terms of tariffs is not the case. It's a calculation of a trade deficit between those countries. So we'll get our heads wrapped around it. I know that the South African citrus industry has been fearful, not only just on expected tariffs, but also about the repeal of the AGOA agreement. And of course, over the next few days, maybe even other shows, will be touching on that, trying to get our heads around how it will affect South African industry.